Hi, I'm Adam Drake from Mugen Seiki Racing. Today I'm going to show you how to bind your receivers to the Futaba 7PX radio system, as well as a couple tips that I use for covering the bind hole and also reinforcing the antenna, just to make stuff a little bit more durable and last a little bit longer for nitro racing. So for all my 8-scale vehicles, I use the Futaba R324 SBS receiver. The reason for using this receiver, or I feel this is the best receiver to use for 8-scale, is because it has dual antennas. Now, I've mentioned that before, but it's really, really important in 8-scale. The vehicles can take so much abuse. If the external antenna happens to get cut off, there's an internal antenna that will allow you to finish the race without having any interference or problems. One of the things I like to do, because the antenna is a little bit longer than what needs to actually be exposed from the box, is I'll coil the antenna up, but over the first half to full inch, I'll just take a piece of ProTech heat shrink, put that over, and what that allows is when this ends up in the box, sometimes the antenna can rub up against the inside wall of the box. And over time, that can wear the standard coating off. So it's just to give you a little bit more security to make sure that the antenna holds up and is a little bit more durable. The reason for that is because you often don't go in and check things like this. If you're not having any radio problems, you'll go for months and months without checking this. So before I install a new receiver, I do this just as a precaution. The next thing is, I like to always secure my receivers with either the Flashpoint foam two-sided tape or the Kyosho gel tape. Both of these work great. As you can see, they're really spongy and just help take kind of any of the abuse or vibration from the nitro vehicles. With both of these, over time the adhesive can come off of either the gel or the foam. So what I'll do sometimes is I'll just take, when it's brand new, put the foam tape onto a clean setup board and then peel it back to where the adhesive pulls off the foam. And then I'll just glue the foam or the gel tape onto the receiver and then glue that into the receiver box. This just ensures that over time the adhesive doesn't peel off and then the receiver ends up being loose in the receiver box. So from here, we'll go through the process of binding the receiver to the 7PX, and then I also have a couple more tips to share with you. Okay, so now I'm going to walk you through the process of how to bind your receiver to the 7PX. The only thing you'll need is a 1.5 Allen wrench or something small to be able to push the button on the receiver to initiate the bind. So we're going to start by turning the radio on. From there, we'll turn the vehicle on, and it's beeping because the ProTech servos have a safety feature where it beeps if it's not receiving proper communication from the radio to the receiver. And that's because it's not bound currently. So from there, you'll hit User Menu, Receiver, and then you'll go to the receiver. You'll hold down the bind button until it starts blinking. From there, you'll hit Link, and it's as simple as that. It's now bound, and you have throttle and steering. So from there, before I close the receiver box, what I like to do is take a piece of tape and cover the bind hole, either duct tape, Gorilla Tape, electrical tape, or two-sided tape. I normally use two-sided tape because I also use the power capacitor from Futaba. So what I'll do is I'll just cut a little square or rectangle of two-sided tape that will cover the bind hole, and it will also secure the power capacitor in place. So when you close the lid, everything kind of stays where it should be and doesn't bounce around in the receiver box. And the reason for covering the bind hole is because it's a fairly large hole to make it easy to be able to hit the button to link the radio to the receiver. But what can happen, especially in 8 scale, is dust and dirt can get in through that bind hole. And you never want to have any dust or dirt inside the receiver because it can eventually, over time, cause interference. So that's just something I do to help make my receivers last a little bit longer and also have a little bit more reliability over the life of the receiver and during long main events.